Well, what's in a propeller anyway? Well, a logo, or actually it's the other way around. In this logo we have a propeller. A lot of people don't realize that about Bavarian Motorwerken, also known as BMW. And BMW has gotten so many things about themselves that are so familiar now worldwide. And one of the things, in addition to that very famous logo, is what we like to call the front end that has kidneys on it. Now, you don't see any kidneys right offhand, do you? Well, that's a kidney, and that's a kidney. And this is all kinds of stuff here. This is your LiDAR or something. This is a camera. I mean, but everything else is kidney-esque. And that is kind of the part of another trademark that is very famous to BMW, much like Jeep's vertical vents on the front of their vehicle. There's been lawsuits and stuff about this against other manufacturers about other people using it. But one thing is for sure, BMW is a BMW, and this is the 2 Series, the 228 to be specific, Gran Coupe, or Coupe Grande, or Coupe Grand. Anyway, this is one hot little number that we're going to tell you all about in this particular review of the 2025 BMW 228i xDrive. Stay with us. You may see something else that is a BMW trademark for so many of their models, and that is an M right here on this enormous brake caliper. And that is M for the sporting side, the custom shop version, as they used to say. Now it's just kind of like a performance label for entire cars in the BMW range and specific performance packages that they put on some of their cars. Now this is a compact car. This is roughly the size of a, say, Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, somewhere in there. But it has a 105-inch wheelbase, and it is naturally has their BMW's famous twin turbo turbocharger, which is actually only one turbocharger, but they call it twin turbo for reasons I won't get into right now, but it's very sophisticated, let me just say that much about it. And this is one of the more, I would say, affordable for a BMW models in the range, but it's also a wonderfully compact version of everything good that is BMW. The car has plenty of power, it handles beautifully, it's quiet, has a very subtle? Well, it has a very smooth ride in addition to handling really well. It's got a sports suspension on it and all that kind of good stuff. And the more you look at it, the more you realize that it looks like other BMWs, but then again, it kind of has its own thing going on. And I haven't seen that many of the 25s on the road just yet, but I think this is going to be a very popular car in their range because people are discovering that they, at least in my opinion, are starting to realize they don't need a big pickup if they don't need a big pickup. They don't need a big SUV if they don't need a big SUV. They need something a little more compact that would fit in their driveway and fit in their garage and is easy to drive and can park anywhere and gets really good mileage and all that kind of stuff. These are values that this car has in abundance. So without further ado, the most potent part of any BMW is under the hood. In this case, it's 2 liters and it puts out a lot of horsepower for a little inline 4-cylinder engine. So let's take a look now, shall we? Under the bonnet. Here's the engine, what's on it? In this case, something unusual for BMWs, a transversely mounted engine. That's right. This 2-liter inline 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, mounted this way. So you think, wow, this is first and foremost this 2 Series is a front-wheel drive car. Well, that's not true. They all come with xDrive, which is BMW's all-wheel drive system. And naturally, that's a little biased towards the rear, as near as I can tell from driving it, as is all sporting sedans in the European realm. They're all mainly rear drive because it's easier to drive a rear drive car like fast if you need to. One of the first things I notice when I look underneath here is we have this cross bracing in here to help maintain chassis rigidity. You've seen them before on a lot of different cars. And I always wonder, is that an afterthought, or is that primarily the way the car was designed to begin with? It's, as with all BMWs, it's designed to be as solid as possible, but also as light as possible. The curb weight on this is 3,534 pounds. So it looks very substantial either way. What is also substantial is how crowded this thing is. It really looks like this engine is shoehorned in here because you can't hardly see around it. Now, it appears, here's our air box, of course, goes around back here, and our turbocharging is in between the engine and the firewall, as near as I can see. It's packed in there, and our intake side is the front side right underneath here, which is made out of, it looks like mostly composites. But it has twin power turbocharger on it, which is BMW's amazing turbocharging system that basically allows it to spin up really quickly at low RPMs without compromising high RPM performance. And they've had this particular technology has been with BMW for a long time, a lot of years. And it seems very effective at keeping there's still a pretty decent hit of power. I mean, you can tell you have a turbocharger underneath here. But on the whole, it seems to smooth things out considerably. Now, there appears to be some kind of regenerative braking system going on. I don't see any evidence of an actual hybrid system, but it does. I'll look into this more as I have the vehicle, but I think it may be, I'm not sure exactly what I don't see any direct interface in between the gas engine and any kind of an electric motor or anything like that. So, but it does appear to have something going on because it has, in the instrument cluster, you can see like a charging thing from time to time. So, I mean, it's not like something that comes on and off. It's just something I looked at that looks like it's measuring some kind of charging going on. I know, can I be more vague? Well, usually yes, but I'll look into that for you. Now, what are our numbers, by the way? Well, this little 2-liter puts out 241 horsepower between 4,500 and 6,500 RPM. And the engine spins up very quickly, by the way. And your torques, 295 pounds of feet at between 2,000 and 4,500 RPM. And this is all mated to a 7-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters for manual operation. And what else can I tell you about it? There's no dipstick. I think BMW just decided somewhere along the line they just hate dipsticks, even though it's fail-safe, beautiful technology that can never fail. And now you're dependent upon the car's sensors and telling it how much oil you have in the engine. Now, I'm sure if they fail, for whatever reason, it'll tell you they've failed and to do something about it. But I like having a dipstick myself. It's very easy to deal with, and there's no reason not to have a dipstick, except they don't like them. I think that's primarily why. I don't know. You can never tell with these engineers. They have their own ways. But anyhow, you can't see. Here's a positive. I don't think there's a battery underneath here. I think the battery may be in the trunk. I'm just guessing because BMW often puts the 12-volt battery, which weighs a great deal, like all 12-volt batteries do, in the trunk for better weight distribution. But you can certainly jump start or help somebody jump start. There's your positive right there, and then you just put it on the ground somewhere on the, I'm sure the owner's manual, if I knew where it was, would explain all that. But don't be surprised if you open up the hood and you don't know where the battery is, because it may very well be in the trunk. And we'll look in the trunk and see if I see it handy. I've already looked back there. I didn't see it, so maybe it is underneath that cover. Huh, who knows? But anyway, this is our power plant. And like I said, all-wheel drive is standard, the xDrive BMW system. And a lot of horsepower out of a little bitty engine, 2 liters. So that is that. And let's look at the rest of the exterior, shall we? M stands for motor rod. Oh wait, that's the motorcycle side, isn't it? Well, anyway, pretty good size rubber on this particular BMW. We have our Goodyears on here. How about that? And look at the size of the brake caliper, both the brake caliper here, the M designated, and this massive, massive brake rotor. I mean, that's one thing you can never, and the wheel itself is an M wheel. Let me clean that off for you. There you are. BMWs have also always had hell for strong brakes, especially if you have some performance packages on the car. This has an advanced technology package, by the way, and a few other things, which when we get to the Monroney at the end of this, I will show exactly what this vehicle has on it, as I always do. But our tire size is 225/40 R. What size? What size? Is it an 18 or a 19? Ooh, I believe that's an 18. But pretty much a standard size for a vehicle like this. It doesn't have some insanely large, like 20 or 22 inch wheels. Much more in what I would call in keeping with what makes rational sense to have. You still have your, as mentioned before, 105 inch wheelbase. Being a compact vehicle, and as such, the rear seat is not the roomiest rear seat in the world. I don't think it really is any roomier, or it may actually be less roomy than some of the cars I mentioned before, like the Corolla, the Civic. There's so few now. There's nothing from Ford or GM or Chrysler that's in the compact category these days that I know about, because they don't make cars no more. Not the way they used to. But here is our 15.2 cubic foot trunk. And we have nice little storage bin down here. No spare tire whatsoever. What you do have, oh there, I was looking for the owner's manual. That looks like that may be it. In there we have our motility kit and our tow hook. The things you need when the day is not going the way you want it to. We never voluntarily access these things. We only access them. Now, this is a place where it goes, and there really isn't. There's not an owner's manual in here, so I'm going to have to fight my way through it. We do have 60/40, I think. Let's do this. What? How the hell? Oh, like that, and like that. So let's go in here. You and I go in here. Hang on, I'm gonna put you down here. Let's see here. Up. Definitely 60/40. Hello, interior. There it is. So that can greatly increase your 15.2 foot cargo capacity to include longer items when you go to like your big box store to buy that weed whacker. You know, you got room to put that in the car, no problem. Even though it's a compact. I love that. No frippery here in terms of like a power trunk lid. It's a regular old trunk lid, and it works fine. Sounds solid when you shut it. And what else? BMW has all kinds of interesting aerodynamic things on all their vehicles. And so they optimize airflow a whole bunch of different ways. And the interesting thing is, it's not just to make the car slide through the air easier for more efficiency, although that's part of it, but a lot of it is performance oriented to help keep things cool, to help cool the brakes, the tires, lest you feel like you need to take this on the track day and zoom around the racetrack and beat everybody in their other cars, in their Evos, in their WRXs, or whatever you want to take on. BMW does very well at racing, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. You probably did. But so there we have it. That's our exterior. Fit and finish is as you would come to expect from BMW. It's beautiful and very, very precise. This particular vehicle, I'll double check this, but I think this is a completely built in Austria, Germany, that area vehicle. I don't know if there's any US content, and it's not built at the BMW plants in the United States because they mainly build SUVs, as I recall. But there you have one of the nicer vehicles. Will it be tariffed? Who knows? I have no earthly idea. But it's going to be a BMW, and that's the thing you're paying for in the first place. Let us move on to the depths of this somewhat compact but incredibly bizarre interior. Oh, it looks futuristic, doesn't it? Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like a BMW because they have this very distinctive look now. And I still pine for the days of when BMW had full analog instrumentation that was some of the most beautiful ever made, in my opinion. It was clear, it was concise. They used to be fairly large too. The actual clocks were round, big round things. But we've gone to the electronic age, as you can see, and this whole thing is just a, much like GM and a few others do it, a nice, smooth, flat screen thing that goes all the way across, and your instrument cluster is part of that. And you have, you see that red flashing light that's annoying you? I know, I apologize. That is, I assume, the system that's watching you to tell you if you're about to fall asleep or something. Attention deficit, whatever. I think I got it turned off, but with this car, one of the things that this car suffers from is something that a lot of new cars suffer from, and that is the fact that you have to kind of put your personality into the car, in that they have to know who's driving it. They beg you. They do everything possible to make sure that you put your phone inside your car. And as far as, you know, it associates everything when it detects your phone when you get in the car, then it sets everything up based on how you set it up. It's almost like they're just assuming there's 5 different people driving the car or something, which is usually not the case. It's usually one person is the primary driver. But anyhow, a lot of times I have to adjust and turn things back on and turn things back off and go over and over again. But now it's suddenly stopped. For example, there is a heads-up display, which let's see, I could actually, I've learned enough about this. I can go up to displays, which is right. Well, have I lost it again? There it is. And I can go to, what the heck? Well, it's like it's vanished now. Boy, I tell you, there is nothing here. Let's go back that way. Nope. All right. This is where I've always found what I was just, there we go. Now, I bet this is the right one. Heads-up display, there we go. See, a myriad of menus, but I can turn it on now. Bunk, and there we go. And I don't see anything. Oh, there it goes. Now, can you see that? Can you see that? It's right there. I can never tell whether or not you can actually see it. I hope you can. But anyway, you do have a heads-up display on this particular 228i. That also, you can rotate it. You can adjust the brightness. Well, let's put the brightness all the way up. Let's see. There, now is it clear? Now, can you see me now? Can oh. But anyway, you have these adjustments you can make, and there's actually quite a few. And then you can show different types of content that you want to put on it. So that's all great. If you like heads-up display, it's wonderful because you can custom tune it to your desires. But if you don't like, if you're like me and you don't like heads-up displays, you turn it off and you want it to stay off. Well, it's doing that now, but for the first couple of days I had this car, every time I started it, it seemed like it would reboot and the heads-up display would be on, and I'd have to go through the menus and turn it off every single time. Now, like with certain Mazdas that I've been complaining about for several years now. So anyway, apparently that has rectified itself. While I had this vehicle, quick story for you, I came in to drive away, and it was telling me that it was going to download an upgrade, and it was going to take 20 minutes, and a lot of functions of the car wouldn't be available. I was still able to drive it, but this screen was basically completely blank. And you know, that's one of the things that's either good or bad, depends on your perspective, whether or not you like the machine to be rebooting itself with new software or not regularly. Now, some certain vehicles, like my old thing over there, that does not happen because there's nothing it really needs to have rebooted on it. It's got everything it needs on board, including a navigation system, and Bob's your uncle. That's it. But on the modern cars that have all this new electronics, and they're constantly discovering little things they need to adjust, they will send you over-the-air updates, and some people think that's the greatest thing ever. You can imagine what I think about that, because anything that will semi or even mildly cripple the vehicle to do it, I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's a strange age we live in as far as logic to me. But anyway, let's look at this. We have different types of layouts we can use. See, here's this one where you got power. Instead of a tachometer on the right, you have a power percentage. What does that mean? I'm not so sure. And here's a really wild one. It's a more of a minimalist thing. Is there any tachometer element? None. God, the car moves when I do that. Boy, that's weird. Huh, even though I'm in park. It tends to do that. But you have that display, and what else is... what? Oh, I didn't ask for that. The scorpions. How did the scorpions get on my radio? I don't understand. They frighten me. They have those tails, you know, and they'll hurt you with them tails. All right, let's try this again. Layout. All right, power. Now, if you want to go to, and then content, here's content. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So here's where you have an assisted view of all your assisted driving. Here's a compass. Here's your navigation system. Oops. There's what's on the radio. Here is a G meter. So many cars like to put a G meter in these days. I don't get it. Not exactly useful, unless you just want to spin around in a parking lot and grow up, man. I'm sorry, all of you out there that like spinning around the parking lot. You go right ahead. And make sure the parking lot's empty first, and there's no security guard that's heavily armed sitting out there watching you. Don't do it in like a bank parking lot. I wouldn't recommend that. But anyway, you do have some variation here of what you can actually do. And with both the layout, you know, it seems to me I was easily able to put the tack up on there, but I can't seem to find it now. But we do have driving modes, and here's my modes. I will hit the modes button. Here's personal, sport. If we go to sport, you would expect a tack to pop up, and there it is. On the right side, we now have a tachometer. Or let's see, what else can we do? Efficiency. Well, that's going to give your power percentage. I tell you what. What's the one? Personal. That would probably be the one you'd like to select the most. Individual settings, because this gives you some variation here. Expressive. Well, it looks like that's more of a theme. This mode will be set automatically every time the vehicle is started. Relax, silent, digital art. Oh, well, let's turn her off and start her up and see what happens with that. I want to see that. Goodbye, driver. Because, see, they even want to put a picture of you in your car. Why? Go away. Don't do that. So now we have our theme, I think. Let's go back. And that's, well, figure it out yourselves, folks. I can't tell you half of the stuff that's going on with this car half of the time. It drives great. That's the important thing. We'll see that shortly. It really does drive beautifully with its twin turbocharged engine. And it sounds great. It does not sound like a 4-cylinder. It sounds like it's got more cylinders than that. It really sounds good. Whether or not that is enhanced through the audio system, I don't know. But anyway, on back here, we are now at our tachometer. Now, I went back to what I thought was a regular non-sporting setting, and we now have a tachometer on the right-hand side, so go figure. We also have this really funky, speaking of the tach, there we go, wee, wee. This car moves like it's trying to go forward and backward when I rev the engine. That seems a bit weird. It's in park, and do I have the parking brake on? Yeah, it's supposed to have the parking brake on, but no, it isn't. By the way, I was looking earlier for where is the parking brake if you need to use it in an emergency, and you hit that, and now it's in the parking brake's on. Now let's rev it. Oh, much better. That's much better. Okay, sorry, little side. This video is one big sidetrack. Oh, here comes the car. So what do we think about this particular dashboard? Well, I really wish they'd give you the option of having a dual, beautiful analog type of system in it, because that would make me happy. I'm not real thrilled with this avant-garde version of the speedometer. And the thing is, that's important. I've always believed that is very important, how the instrument cluster looks, because that's what you spend all your time looking at. And you need to have something that is pleasing to you, especially if you're on a long trip or you just drive a lot every day. And I mean, you have a long commute and that kind of thing. So being the fact that they have so many different varieties that they can use now in terms of just doing it with software, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So think about that what you will, but that's the way BMW has decided to do things, and you will atone. All right, so what else? Well, we don't have a whole lot of instrumentation over here. Here is our minimalist cruise control controls, but they work very well in terms of you do have an automated driving system available to you. What the heck do they call it in BMW land? Let's have a look here. It's called instrumentation and controls, dynamic cruise control, BMW curved. What does that say? Curved features, navigation. Yeah, it does that. And we have a sports steering wheel. Incidentally, we do have a substantial M package on this, the M Sport package, which includes all kinds of things, including where it says, we have an M steering wheel, M Sport content, M Sport exterior elements, sport wheels, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. That's why I was moving around. Those dual clutches will do that. It's not a conventional automatic, it's a dual clutch automatic. So anyway, that is what's going on with that. But the cruise control seems to work, as you will see as we drive the car around. It works well. It's a pretty decent system, and you can do all kinds of magical things, change lanes, and all kinds of things without just hit the turn signal and it'll change lanes for you. If that makes you happy, then you're there, man. You are there. Now, one of the things I got confused about initially, and I shouldn't have because it's actually straightforward, is it still doesn't make sense to me, to be honest with you. Let's say you turn on the lights. Well, you actually can't, but let's say it's in its automatic mode and the lights are on, right? Okay, so you have two different automatic choices. You have an automatic mode that will turn on the lights, turn off the lights based on your ambient light outside. And then you have the automatic dimming system. And the automatic dimming system will put the car on high beams whenever feasible, and when it sees any lights, like oncoming cars and that kind of thing, it will dim the lights for you. Now, how do you turn that on and off? Well, it took me a while. Like I say, I don't have the owner's manual of this vehicle. So it took me a while to realize that over here on this stalk where you normally find your light controls, you can push this, and that will give you your switches here. And I can turn auto off, I can turn auto off. Automatic is just the automatic mode, but that's the on-off for the auto dimming function. And you can either put you can put it on automatic, you can turn the lights on regularly, but the on-off itself is determined by all this. And we also have headlight range control, whether or not you want to go on parking lights. Here's settings just for your headlights. One touch turn signals 3 times, daytime driving lights, pathway lighting. That's, of course, to leave it on. When you get home at night, it will leave it, in this case, it's set for 20 seconds, so that it will help illuminate your way as you go back in the house. You're all familiar with this. You've seen this in cars for years and years. But this is like some of the more upscale vehicles out there, you can actually custom tune how long you want those lights on. So, excuse me. Again, everything about this car is different if you haven't been driving a BMW, because even the vents take a little bit of getting used to. This is your intensity of the vent, whether or not it's open or closed. And this is how you adjust the actual thing. Now, it almost looks like it would be electric powered, but it's not. But it's a bit funky. And see, in the central one, same thing, left, right, open, closed. It's just a different way of doing things. And the vents themselves, I find personally on the car, there was one particularly hot day that I was driving this thing, and the vents are small. They are not big, roomy vents. They're just these guys in the center. So, I don't know, different. They're all about being different. And something else that's different is, incidentally, we've already been over here. This is your plus and minus for your volume control. And this is, of course, for your music center, whether you want to use media of your own or a radio station such as satellite, which it has for free for a little while, and then you got to pay for it. Or you're just your AM and the FMs. Here's where you can argue with the car, and here's where you can argue with your friends on your phone. So those are all easily accessed, and you'll find it with the same ease you find with most cars nowadays. Now, as we move over here, here's our media selection, and again, we are touchscreen. There's our telephone adjustments, and then here's our navigational screen, which is good. I mean, it's typical BMW, very high resolution, very clear. I'm about to use the navigation system extensively on a trip, and I'll shout if there's anything about it. Most of them are pretty much all the same these days, so I'll shout at you if there's anything different about that. As we go down the center stack, there are no access to any of the climate control stuff. That is up here, and you can adjust by zone. You have 2 zones, your passenger and your driver. And the intensity of the fan is right there. And the system is set on automatic right now. So, again, if you're used to dedicated switches, you're going to have to get used to using everything on the touchscreen, because that's how they roll. That's how they have decided to roll. If you like that kind of thing, you should roll that way too. But here's a little, I love this parcel shelf right here because it's almost useless. You can get a phone in there unless you have a modern generation of cell phones. But why would you put it there? Because here is your QI charger right down there. You have a couple of very attractive cup holders, and you have 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt port right there to plug in your 12-volt accessories. Now, what kind of shifter do we have? Well, it's different. It's not like your old conventional type of shifter. It is, in fact, a slide bar shifter. You have access to a sport mode, just like that, and then drive mode right there. And then when you're in sport mode, you have your paddle shifters here for your 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, what do we have in our camera department? Press the camera button, and look at all the things we have. Panorama view. Ooh, look at that. That's our front. Can we move it about? No. More 3D. Oh, car wash view. Oh, that's new. Oh, here we are going into the car wash. Unfortunately, it does not come with a car wash. Well, you know, what do you want? Parking assisted view. This will help you park. There's so much parking, and there's also a backup assistant. All these things, I'm real bad about this as a person who review cars. I never test these self-parking aids because I just think, just between you and me, I think if you can't park your car, you shouldn't be driving. You have to learn to drive well enough to park your car. Now, the exception to that is if you have something that tells you when you're about to bump into something, which almost everything does now. You have sensors that'll tell if you're about to hit something. That is very, very useful. But otherwise, learn to park, man. And here's our parking view. And we got a camera here, here. There we go. Sides, and there we go, that. And it's telling me over here that there's a vehicle there. That's clever. And these, there we go. And that's that side of the car. And this is this side of the car. There you go. So you do have a stunning array of cameras at your beck and call. What's this do? What's this button do? This is how I spend most of my life now. What does this button do? What does this menu do? You have driver's assistance. I've turned everything on, including lane departure warning, hill descent control. I've turned all that off. Deactivate auto start, no. Activate drive off support, automatic hold. I tend to not use those personally, but they're there. It's nice that they're there if you want them. I'm perfectly down with that. My big fear is that they're going to take away the choice of whether or not you get to use them someday. I guess I'm getting paranoid in my old age, but I've seen it happening on a lot of different cars where it just does it without asking you. And at least BMW is still giving you a choice if you can find the menu. Here we have a beautiful panorama roof up here and a very easy to operate panorama roof system. And now we're a sunroof. Look at there. Not a huge opening, by the way, but it's not a huge car. It's a compact car. It's a Civic or it's a Corolla in size. So there you go. We have no glove box, by the way. There is no glove box here. We do have this very nice but fairly small center console. So if you're a person that loves glove boxes and loves to stick your iPad or some other tablet into your glove box, you will not be able to do that on this vehicle. It has no glove box, just so you know. So something else that's really weird about this car. We have very nice seats. The seats are, of course, composed of, let's see, comfort as heated, sport, including drive. I'm 90% sure these are leather. Mocha perforated Vaganza. That's what our seats are. These are the Vaganzas. They're not seats. It says so right there. They are Vaganzas. Wow, who knew? I sure as hell didn't. But these are also considered sports seats. But I tell you what, there seems to be next to very, very little in terms of actual adjustment of the seat. As you can see, they are perforated. So you can, I think, where the heck is it? Here we go. You can heat the seats, but you can't do anything else with them. You see here? That's the driver's seat. And then here's the heated steering wheel. That's very nice. And you have 3 different settings for that. But I don't believe they're ventilated. I don't see any evidence of ventilation. And then here we have, you can adjust this front bolster, which is very nice to be able to do that. But what we don't have on this car that I can find is a lumbar support. There is no lower lumbar support that I've been able to detect. Now, that could be my fault, and BMW come after me and beat me on the head if I'm completely wrong. But I looked, and I do have like a quick starting guide for this car. And it says nothing about, it says how to adjust lumbar, but this car doesn't have that. So that's one thing that's really interesting about BMW is when you go to your dealership to buy one, you need to go through the list with all of them about what it has and what it doesn't, because they tend to be unlike being completely locked into various packages, they seem to have a lot more individual options that are applied on individual models for the customer to choose from, that I've encountered anyway. It's a little bit different than just having a package that just throws everything in there. And I would have thought with the M package and the sport seats that you would have lower lumbar support. And there, it ain't here, man. I'm telling you, I've looked and looked and looked and looked, and it's not there. The seats are very comfortable. Let me double check and make sure we don't have some kind of fancy heated front seats. Yeah, so they're definitely not ventilated. Oh, we do have the exhaust technology SULEV 20PM. That's part of your technology package, just so you know. I know you were wondering about that, and there it is. What else do we have? We have a lot of interior elements that are sporty, but I do believe our exterior color, by the way, is Tanzanite Blue 2 metallic. And we have mocha perforated Vaganza. Now, what does that mean? What does that really mean? I don't know. We have rain adjusting windshield wipers, which seem to work on, I would say, average for most cars that have that particular feature that detects rain on your windshield and then sets the wiper speed accordingly, but it doesn't seem any better, that's for sure. You do have a very nice Harman Kardon sound system, which, I mean, who doesn't love Harman Kardon? I certainly do. The room is good. You do have good headroom and good leg room, and again, I still can't believe that this thing doesn't have adjustable lumbar. Maybe by the end of this video, I'll have discovered it somehow, but it's not where it would usually be. With German cars in particular, it's one of two places. It's either on the side of the seat down here, just like everybody else, or a lot of times they'll put it on the door right there. And as you can see, all we have is the adjustment for the custom setting for 2 different people. So there you go. So now the moment of truth. How is this back seat for a compact? Because that's the area usually with there's compromises with a compact. We shall see. Incidentally, see this right here? There is no frame over the window, and I've never liked cars with that because it makes it sound like the car is cheap when you shut the door. It just feels flimsy. And see, it has to go. The motor has to seal the window for you. It just doesn't seal when you shut the door. I've never understood the logic behind not having that, but that's me. Okay. We're back here, and it is, incidentally, I have one of the seats. It is a 60/40 increment, and I have one of the seats forward because I was having a large item in the back just to see how that would work out in this very small car, and it worked out fine. But we don't have beaucoup de leg or foot room. It just isn't. I mean, it's okay if you're my height, 5'8". But if you're taller than that, and my head is almost right up against, well, it's right up against the headliner. And these rear seats are very upright. So this is a sport coupe for somebody who really doesn't like the people in the back seat all that much. That's my theory. But you have a moderately sized drive shaft tunnel, which is not surprising considering this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. So you got to have a drive shaft through there, even though it has a transverse mounted front engine. Very unusual for somebody like BMW to have a rear wheel drive car that doesn't have a longitudinally mounted engine. But this is transversely mounted. So you would think this car would be available with front wheel drive. To the best of my knowledge, in the US, it is not. It is always got the xDrive all-wheel drive system. You have 2, not 1, but 2 of your USB-C ports, and here you have some ventilation, which is on full open right now for your air con. And there you go. I would not want to ever put 3 adults back here because they'd be kind of cramped. And if you're higher, if you're taller than about 5'8", you're not going to be comfortable for long distances back here. It's just the way it is. The armrest is very nice at a good angle, so the two people that fit back here are going to be comfortable. And you do have some very nice LED map lights for your pleasure. And they even like fade in and fade out. That's just so awesome. But you don't have any kind of place to put any of your laptops, magazines, anything else there. There's no storage zippity doodah for you. You do have, you don't really have cup holders back here. I guess you could get, yeah, you could get a small drink there, but otherwise that's pretty much it. So there you have it, folks. This is a compact BMW in every sense. It's small on the outside and it's small on the inside. But if you fit, you're going to be comfortable in these back seats. And as long as you don't have lower back issues, I mean, I can't get over it. I may be, and I'm wrong about a lot of things all the time, but I really don't understand why we don't have adjustable lumbar for these front seats. That's just weird. But then again, they have the right to do whatever they're going to do. They're BMW, and they wear. Look at that. I've casually tossed down the Monroney. Does that mean? Is that symbolic in any way? No, of course not. I was just moving it out of the way. And speaking of moving, let's do some, shall we? All right, it is now demonstration time. Now I'm going to change lanes without doing anything. Watch this. Let's go in the right-hand lane here. I have to put the steering wheel. There we go. Look, see? Did that all by itself. Isn't that great? I'm not sure. In point 9, we have narrow lanes. It seems to know this is happening. How does it know? How do it know? Well, it knows somehow. Yeah, it's talking to a large, there is a large, every BMW 228 of the 2 Series has a dirigible that follows it at an altitude of approximately 500 feet and looks ahead. See what's going on. Right lane is closed ahead, so I'm going left. Boy, it really likes to just scoot on over there, doesn't it? Go over here now. Whoa!
Police reported ahead.
Yeah, zoom on by there, pal. The police have been reported ahead. I just heard my thingy tell me. See, I want to go further over to the left, but the car is resisting me. I don't know what the hell that means. Now let's see if it decides to. Now we'll go. Ah, okay. Now there is actually 2 detents here. When you are selecting your speed, they have one push and then a higher push. And the lower push will increase your speed by 1 mile per hour. And the higher push will be by 5.
Take I-384 west.
Now it says I'm going to go 80, but I'm not going to go 80. And I'll go 70. I don't know what this dinging is. Did you hear that ding? Oh, here it is. That's what it's doing. It's asking me questions, I guess. So, We're just surrounded with automation, automatons taking over our vehiculars. And again, I'm very surprised by the amount of road noise on this car, just because, and solely because it's a BMW, and BMWs are usually just whisper quiet. This car is not loud, but it's just a little louder than a little more, let's say, ambient noise than I would expect from a BMW usually, because there's a whisper quiet like this. It's not bad, but it's surprising. And it could be, a lot of it could be the tires themselves. Who knows? It's often difficult to tell for sure what is causing the noise.
Keep straight to take I-384 west.
Okay. I don't know why all this dinging is going on. It's very annoying.
Keep straight to take I-384 west.
And the rain is beginning.
In 1.2 miles, take the exit.
Bing! Who is that? Why are these noises? I don't understand these noises. Stop the noises. Everybody and their dog making noises at me. So, this is the highway experience with the 228, with its automated driving system, which BMW calls the Herndisverdenblark, which for some reason is Dutch, and it means driving, God is my co-pilot or something like that. But the only thing I need to figure out, since I've understand most of it now, is how in the world do you adjust the following distance? And I'll have to look it up, because there's not a dedicated button to tell you how to do that, and that's very surprising.
Continue for 3.9 miles.
So here's another thing. I have discovered that, again, BMWs have always been this way, and now that we have all these electronics and digital information centers and stuff in our cars, they've managed to get even worse at it. They came out with xDrive, which a lot of people thought was just great, but I noticed that it was a dial that you used to navigate the center screen. And I noticed that things that used to take one switch or one thing, you had to do 2 or 3 things, go through several menus in order to get there. And I thought that was stupid. And a lot of people said, no, it's great. Yeah, it's so cool. I like it. Well, okay. Well, they've basically gotten rid of that, but you still have all your touchscreen stuff you have to do. And it's ridiculous. For example, every time I turn on this car and the headlights go on, it automatically goes into the automatic mode, which dims the headlights for you. I hate that mode, by the way. So I'm looking for where to turn off, and what do you have to do? You have to do this. You have to hit this button here. That will give you access to then you can turn it on and off. But you have to do that every single time you drive the car. Now, I don't know if that's because I haven't put my phone in the car and it doesn't identify all the settings that the car was on previously before it was rebooted. I have no idea. But anyway, that's something I find really annoying. Stuff like that. Basic operation of the car should be quick, easy, intuitive, and not require you to take your eyes off the road. But everybody's doing it. You know, BMW just tends to be the ones doing it first, and unfortunately there seems to be a real trend in the automotive industry right now where people will be more than happy to adopt bad ideas. So what are you going to do? Ah, behold, the rear suspension of the BMW 228. You know, I keep calling it a 228i because for a long time BMW was putting I's after the numbers of their various vehicles. I think to indicate that it was fuel injected. That's back, I'm going back to the dinosaurs. back when there still were carbureted cars around. Boy, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? But anyway, our 228 has a beautiful, looks like it's almost Formula One inspired rear suspension on it, and it's got all kinds of things on it that baffle and confuse me, but that's nothing new. Here is a massive bit of structure right here that is bolted directly to our underbody, and then up front we have a different part of structure right in here for the front part of your multi-link suspension. And then we have this cross bracing that's going on here. It goes across to the bottom of the differential right here, and all the way across the sides to just, I guess, generally stiffen up the rear end. It's very interesting. Here, of course, is our differential, which is a huge affair, and the drive shaft runs way up in there, so it's very well protected, actually. And then you have all this, if you look down there, you'll see all this cladding we have to maintain more of an aerodynamic flow underneath the car. And then there's some protection as well here for various componentry. It's pretty fascinating. What you have, look at all the links you have this rear suspension. Here's kind of a lateral link here. And up top, we have an upper link right in here. And here, and the links go around the coil spring. And incidentally, here's our coil spring here. But look, if you will, how far back the shock absorber is. It's all the way back here. And then there's these little things here, and there's one right over there too, right there. I have no idea what those do. They're fascinating, but they stick out. And they almost look like they're sort of, for lack of a better term, it looks like a weight. But it can't just be a weight, right? That's crazy. But anyway, here is our lateral link over here. You can see it a little clearer. And with all these components, they're all very strong individually, but they're small. So what you get is a very low unsprung weight for these rear wheels, which means that they can move up and down with abandon much easier and help deliver a smooth and controlled ride, even though through minor imperfections in the road. And you know it's engineered like crazy by the BMW people because it's got so many aspects to it. And like the coil spring rides on this plate, or that's a protective thing right there. I don't even know what that is. Good God, man. It's absolutely interesting as all get out. But again, the whole purpose is to maintain wheel camber and everything else to proper orientation to the road and to the vehicle, and do it have it as a light a weight as possible so it can react as quickly as possible. That's one of the reasons these BMWs always have handled so well, is they put so much effort into keeping the weight down on your unsprung componentry. And what else can I tell you? This is the kind of car that you want your specialist to work on, your BMW people, because I wouldn't want to take this to like just a shock absorber place if I had a problem with the suspension, because I think you want people working on it who understand how everything goes together, because this is a very, very sophisticated suspension system. And the result is a very good ride, a very comfortable ride, but really good handling, very sharp. It's kind of brilliant. Look at the size of these. They're very long, apparently. These drive shafts right here. See, it's a BMW, so right there. And an interesting aspect of this to me is the whole front part of this differential. Apparently, I'm assuming this is a transverse mounted engine, so it's very easy to make a front drive vehicle when you have a transverse mounted engine. It's a little more complicated to have rear wheel drive involved. But this primarily, like most BMWs, is probably in rear-wheel drive most of the time for the sporting handling that they are famous for. But at the same time, I have a feeling that in regular driving, probably a lot of the propulsion is done just by the front wheels for maximum efficiency and fuel economy, which is another thing BMW is always striving for. So there you go. A lot of interesting features to this rear suspension for a compact in particular. This is very complex. And I think the bottom line is It's a BMW through and through. Well, there we have our 2025 Ultimate Driving Machine from BMW. This is a 228 xDrive Gran Coupe with a base price of $41,600, and with all the good equipment, including the M packages, we have $50,825 for our final price. So what do we think? Well, first of all, you should know I got about 39 miles per gallon with this car, which is quite remarkable. That's nearly hybrid territory. And overall, it's a real sharp little coupe. I mean, the advantage to having such a small vehicle is that it drives really, really beautifully, and the twistier the roads get, even though it's not one of BMW's top-of-the-line machines. A little cramped for the rear seat, but otherwise a very, very interesting vehicle. If you're in the market for a compact coupe, please check it out.
You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube, you eat like the tube, you raise your children like the tube, you even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.